I am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
I got a lot of problems with you people. And today, you're going to hear about it. Happy Festivus. For the rest of us. Here at the old show, we do things with news and stuff. We kind of try to throw in funny stuff, if it's funny. In that case, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you are the bug. Good morning, friends. It is Monday the 23rd. It is the made-up holiday Festivus. We'll be doing a Festivus show this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, in case you were wondering. Who knows if or anybody will show up tonight. We'll see, but we will have the airing of grievances. The Festivus poll is in the works as we speak. And the feats of strength is probably how many of these you can hoist, you know, if it's an adult beverage or just water. Whatever strikes your fancy, and I hope your fancy is being struck with permission. We don't want any perverts. We got Chuck in the house. What's up, Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show? Miguel's in the house. The Miguel 5000 quantum holiday tree. It's not a Christmas tree. It's a holiday tree. It's for everybody. It has dreidels on it. It has just Christmas ornaments. There's some some Muslim stuff on there. We got some Kwanzaa. The Satanists have got some stuff on there. It's a holiday. It's Miguel's the holiday tree, but made of love and a lack of a will to live. Just like me. Willie's in the house. What's up, Willie? Good to see you, my friend. Happy Festivus to you. Willie's got the fam in town, so he's been hanging out with them. Hopefully you guys have been having a good time. Desert Mantis is here. Matt John's here. Greetings. Listen to Guided by Voices. Okay, good to know. Max Sarge, what is going on? Good to see you, my friend. Global Solidarity is here. And I know Around the World with D and Friends, my buddy D was here. Good to see you. Anonymous with a cryptic message off the top. Don't know what is happening, but got notified you were on tonight. Poo tubes need deleting. All right. I like to get the word out there. Yeah, so it's Festivus. We got a Festivus show tonight. Me and some folks will be hanging out, airing our grievances about the stuff in general over the year, whatever we want to get off our chests. So it should be a fine time for all. So, and you're welcome in the chat to air your grievances as well. The more, the merrier. So it'll be great. I promise you. Well, I kind of promise you. I'll give you like a 15% guarantee. Bella's in the house too. Cheers, extra specials. Extra specials to you too. I think that's what you were saying. We got some good news from our buddy Chanda, who's been undergoing treatments for lung cancer. I think she is done with her radiation and her chemo, but she still has more treatments of other kinds to go. So if you can go donate to her GoFundMe, it's in the links down below in the description. That would be cool. If not, if you don't have the cash, if you could share that out, she'd appreciate it. We appreciate it. Like take care of all our pals here in the space. Oh, we got Amber over on Facebook. Hey, Amber. Sorry, I forgot. I'm not used to people. I'm not used to regular people on Facebook. What's up, Rick? Rick's popping his head out of the fire hole. Good to see you, brother. Yeah. So it is. This is a festive week, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing. Today it's Festivus. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve. I mean, Santa Claus is going to be coming around these parts. If you've been naughty or nice, chances are you're probably still not getting anything. Well, if you're naughty, you might get something. Santa may have gone corporate. He might have gone to the dark side. He doesn't go down chimneys anymore. He goes down the air shafts of corporate buildings. Poor Santa. I knew it was a matter of time before he'd sell out, the fat bastard. Yeah, so we might do something tomorrow night for Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day is Wednesday. So I'm not sure what's happening then. I don't know if we're going to have a regular show on Wednesday. I don't think we're going to do like regular news. We might do like the kind of looking back at the biggest stories of the year, you know, kind of chat about it a little bit, you know. But if there are stories that you want me to talk about on Wednesday, email me is probably the best. ExtraBulla@theoldgmail.com. The evil empire, yes, but at least you know, the email still works for now. So yeah, so send me your big news stories for the year. And we'll talk about them on Wednesday. And maybe if I can get this fucker fixed, get the gaming back up and running. So, what is it? Wednesday is prime rib day, and I can't fucking wait. Get in my belly. You getting prime rib on the crema? On Murray crema? A little magic dust for Santa. A little bit more for Santa Claus. A little bit more for kids. A little more magic dust for Santa Claus. A little bit more magic. Yeah, you know what's up, Bella. Santa Claus, the man with the hair on his jaws. Cheech and Chong Christmas. It's a Cheech and Chong Christmas, and we smoked our shit tonight. Doo-doo-doo. Good stuff. Yeah, so yeah, and then next week is New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and all that stuff. So it's a festival of holidays. I know what is it? Hanukkah somewhere in there, Kwanzaa somewhere in there. I don't do all the holidays. I just recognize them and move on. So anyway, so we should probably get to the shit today. We got a lot of stuff. This is gonna be another long show. Don't say you weren't warned. John, I'm sorry. I know John was here too. I thought I hope I shouted you out. If I didn't, I'm doing it now. I'm cooking egg rolls for the family. Nice. Egg rolls are delicious. I love those. I like a little soy sauce, or sometimes that little duck sauce, and dip them in there. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, no, I like them with the spring rolls. The spring rolls, those are good. All right, enough food. Let's get to feeding your head with knowledge. That was a bad segue. Biden signs a funding bill into law averting U.S. government shutdown for now. There he is, looking at her. My poops are successfully in my pants. U.S. President Joe Biden has signed into law a bipartisan funding bill that averts a government shutdown days after Congress was thrown into turmoil after President-elect Donald Trump rejected an initial deal. The White House announced on Saturday that Biden had signed the legislation which funds the government through mid-March. This agreement represents a compromise, which means neither side got everything it wanted, which means nobody got whatever they wanted. These deals are always the worst. But it rejects the accelerated pathway to a tax cut for billionaires the Republicans sought, and it ensures the government can continue to operate at full capacity. Biden said in a statement. That's good news for the American people, especially as families gather to celebrate this holiday season poop. The Democrat-controlled Senate, in an 85-11 vote, passed the bill to continue government funding 38 minutes after it expired at midnight in Washington on Saturday. Dun, dun, dun. The budget bill had cleared the Republican-controlled House of Representatives earlier on Friday evening with bipartisan support. So, yeah. So, no government shutdown, but they always threaten that. They're always like the boogeyman. Oh! But it's usually for like a day, and then usually like government people's paychecks are a little late. Go Star, what's up? Over there on the Rumbles, the Fist of Us. Did you say First of Us or Fist of Us? Peace Stuff's here too. What's up? Festival. It is, man. It is that kind of party. So, yeah. So, if you were scared, you don't have to be scared of that shit anymore. Meanwhile, when Trump's going to be coming in here shortly, so everybody's thinking, who's he going to invade? Who's he going to bomb? Well, looks like old Trumpy wants to pull a reverse Carter and take the Panama Canal back, right? Uh-oh. So Trump says Panama will lose control of the canal if it continues to rip off the U.S. There's him saying some shit. You're not going to listen to that garbage guy. President-elect Trump took issue with fees charged to use the Panama Canal, a vital shipping route, on Saturday night, claiming that he will demand oversight of the waterway be given back to the U.S. when he returns to office if it's not changed. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, especially knowing the extraordinary generosity that's been bestowed to Panama by the U.S., Trump wrote on Truth Social. I guess he wouldn't say that if he was use that voice if he was writing. This complete ripoff of our country will immediately stop. Panama charges tariffs for boats and ships to pass through its canal. Fees vary based on the size and purpose of vessels, and the charges range from as low as 50 cents to as high as $300,000. Yikes. CBC voter, what's up? Good to see you, friend. If the principles, both moral, I'm not doing the voice again, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to us in full and without question. Trump continued, to the officials of Panama, please be guided accordingly. So Trump saying, we'll take back the canal, the Panama Canal. We'll take it back, even though it's yours. But we're going to take it back. Are they going to try and bomb it? That's what that's their solution for everything is bomb ship. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. The U.S. uses the Panama Canal more than any other country. So that's why you don't want you don't want to pay. Control of the canal was transferred from the U.S. to the Central American country in 1999. As a result of a 1979 treaty under former President Carter, which Trump said was a foolish decision. When President Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away for $1 during his term in office, it was solely for Panama to manage, not China or anyone else, he stated. It was likewise not given for Panama to charge the United States, its Navy, and corporations doing business within our country exorbitant prices and rates of passage. The construction of the Panama Canal began in 1904 under President Theodore Roosevelt. The waterway was built to provide a speedy way to ship goods between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. At the time, it was viewed as one of the most critical foreign policy achievements. Trump on Saturday called for a secure Panama Canal, underscoring its importance to American national security and the economy. The United States has a vested interest in the secure, efficient, and reliable operation of the Panama Canal, and that was always understood. We would and will never let it fall into the wrong hands. It was not given for the benefit of others, but merely as a token of cooperation with us in Panama, he added, stating that the country is being treated in a very unfair and injudicious way. Boo fucking who, right? So yeah, Teddy was the man, I guess. Relatively speaking, I'm pretty sure all the presidents were corrupt. You had to do something shady to become president. But, compared to these other saps, yeah, he's like, Joan of Arc. Meanwhile, the FBI has gone after a George Mason University student. FBI arrests university student over alleged plot to attack Israeli consulate. CEOs, consulates, things are heating up, folks. The FBI arrested an 18-year-old student from George Mason University, accusing him of being involved in a plot to attack the Israeli consulate in New York in a case involving an undercover informant or agent who helped the teenager come up with the plan. Abdullah Azeldin Taha Mohammed Hassan, a first-year student and an Egyptian national, has been charged with one count of distributing information related to explosives that could be used to murder internationally protected persons. The criminal complaint was filed on Monday. Hassan is currently undergoing deportation proceedings, according to U.S. officials, though the process will likely be delayed until the criminal case is resolved and Hassan completes any sentence if convicted. According to the criminal complaint, an FBI confidential human source contacted Hassan in August, and the two planned an attack on the Israeli consulate together. The attack was to be carried out by the FBI source, while Hassan was responsible for planning it. An affidavit from an FBI agent in the case states that Hassan shared social media posts praising and supporting the Islamic State, the artist formerly known as ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. A snippet of one point included in the affidavit indicated that Hassan had possible suicidal tendencies, with him reportedly saying, "I may end it all." In another post, Hassan was also said to have questioned the U.S.'s designation of Hamas as a terrorist group. Over the past year, amid Israel's war on Gaza, Israeli officials have often equated Hamas with the ISIS group, or the IS group. However, Hamas and IS fought a bitter battle against each other in the 2010s, with Hamas eventually rooting out the group from Gaza. The affidavit states that the FBI source asked Hassan to provide a target for the attack and to send an instructional video on how to make a bomb. Hassan's arrest comes a month after the FBI raided the home of two GMU students, with the family saying that officers refused to present a search warrant. Oh, wow, there's a shock. The officer said the raid was connected to an incident in which graffiti related to a protest against Israel's war on Gaza was spray painted on the GMU campus. At the time, the university had publicized a $2,000 reward for information about any suspects. The students, who were sisters, were not arrested during the raid. One is the current co-president of the Students for Justice in Palestine chapter at GMU, while the other is a former president. Both students have been banned from campus for years. In an email sent to students and seen by Middle East Eye, GMU President Gregory Washington said the two incidents, the FBI raid and Hassan's arrest, were unrelated. Washington added that in response to both incidents, the university is expanding its police presence across campus and deploying a special weapons and tactics team, a SWAT team. Sorry. I like the theme song. It does. It's nice. That and Hawaii Five-0, probably two of my favorites. Too soon? Universities across the country have been cracking down harder on the pro-Palestinian protest movement, which erupted earlier this year in response to Israel's war on Gaza. Several human rights groups have recently labeled the war as genocide. Protests have been calling on university leadership to divest financial interests from companies profiting from the war, but many demonstrations have been met with violent police crackdowns. A new investigation from the magazine Jewish Currents found that Yale University's police department was deploying counter-terror tactics against pro-Palestinian protesters. One such tactic involved the use of aerial drones to track protesters. That's not creepy. According to the report, drone flight logs show that Yale possessed a drone manufactured by Skydio, a company that sold 100 drones to the Israeli army following the October 7th attacks on southern Israel, which prompted Israel to launch a full-scale war on Gaza. Me creeping around with the drones following you everywhere, that'd be, I'd be like, no thanks. So a former State Department official is coming out finally. Now we have to take it with a grain of salt because even ex-officials may still have some agenda for the government. So take this with a grain of salt. This is from Al Jazeera too. It's been called the CNN of the Middle East, but we pick and choose from here to try and stay away from the more biased shit. But no concern for Palestinian suffering, and ex-official slams the U.S.'s Gaza policy. So Mike Casey says he has never seen anything like it. In fact, the former State Department official who served as a deputy political counselor at the U.S. Office of Palestinian Affairs described his experience as a diplomat in Jerusalem as a humiliation. It's frankly embarrassing to see just the way we give in to the demands of the Israeli government and continue to support what the Israeli government is doing, even though we know it's wrong, Casey told Al Jazeera, and I've not seen that in any other country that I've served in. After 4 years in his post, Casey resigned in July over what he described as the U.S. government's unwavering support for Israel, despite its devastating military campaign in the Gaza Strip. His resignation, first reported by the Guardian newspaper this week, is the latest by a U.S. official angered over President Joe Biden's staunch military and diplomatic backing for Israel since the Gaza war began in October of last year. To date, more than 45,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's continued attacks on the coastal enclave. The conflict has plunged Gaza into a dire humanitarian crisis, and UN experts and leading human rights groups have accused the Israeli military of committing war crimes, including genocide. The U.S. has said it is working to secure a ceasefire and the release of captives held in Gaza. It also said it has pushed Israel to minimize civilian casualties in its military operations. But Biden has refused to use American assistance to Israel as leverage to end the war, rebuffing calls to suspend U.S. weapons transfers to the top ally. That has spurred anger and criticism from advocates who have dubbed the outgoing Democratic president Genocide Joe. The U.S. provides Israel with at least $3.8 billion in military assistance annually, and researchers at Brown University recently estimated that the Biden administration provided an additional $17.9 billion since the start of the war. In an interview with Al Jazeera on Saturday, Casey said his job in Jerusalem was primarily focused on writing about the situation in Gaza, from humanitarian concerns to economic and political issues. He said the U.S. government is aware of the dire conditions in the territory, including the widespread casualties and lack of humanitarian assistance. And yet we continue to pursue these policies and support what the Israeli military is doing there, he said. They receive all of our reporting, they have everything we write, and they just disregard it. Asked why U.S. government policy is what it is, Casey said he believes part of the reason is that there is no concern for Palestinian suffering. We ignore Palestinian suffering, we accept the Israeli government narrative of events even if we know it's not true, and we really pursue Israel's interests. We don't pursue our own interests, he told Al Jazeera. I don't know about that. And that was what pushed me out the door at the end. The State Department did not immediately respond to Al Jazeera's request for comment on Saturday. They were like, I don't know about that. So, yeah. I mean, it's good to have that insight, right? I mean, it's kind of, it's stuff we already knew, but to have somebody actually, from the inside calling him Genocide Joe. Don't give up hope. The walls aren't down yet, but the cracks are forming. That's for sure. Genocide Joe by the great rapper, activist Low Key. That's funny. Well, Israel is a fun place to be, especially if you're an Israeli. Oh, wait, they don't like him either. Nationwide protests are up in Israel to demand Netanyahu's resignation. So before it was just, a lot of these protests were just for, to release the hostages, right? And now you're starting to see like this guy here with the sign, "Stop the ethnic cleansing." Israelis staged protests Saturday across the country demanding the resignation of Bibi Netanyahu, as according to Anadolu agency. They accused it of obstructing a ceasefire and prisoner swap agreement with the Gaza Strip. Hundreds of thousands criticized Netanyahu, reiterating their demand for the resignation of his government for the most right-wing government in Israel's history and early elections. Protests were held in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Beersheba, West Jerusalem, and other parts of the country. The main protest centered around the defense ministry in Tel Aviv, with protesters carrying banners, posters, and placards against Netanyahu and members of his government. Speaking to demonstrators on Kaplan Street near the defense ministry, opposition leader and former Prime Minister Yair Lapid promised to overthrow the government in elections. Lapid? That guy emphasized that they would not negotiate with Netanyahu's government and would not back down. "We will win. Bibi is not actually growing stronger. The people are not on their side. There are no elections because they are terrified of elections because they know the truth." Before the protest in Tel Aviv, Yena Zangaker, the mother of Israeli prisoner Matan Zangaker, accused Netanyahu of sabotaging negotiations for a ceasefire and prisoner swap in Gaza. Zangaker criticized Netanyahu for continuing military operations in Gaza for political gain and rejecting a prisoner swap agreement. "Ending the war is neither an obstacle nor a cost. Ending the war to bring all the prisoners back is the goal," she said. Netanyahu is accused by Israelis and international public opinion of refusing to negotiate a prisoner swap with the Palestinian resistance group Hamas for political reasons, and because he's a piece of shit. It's estimated that there are currently 101 Israeli prisoners in Gaza. While ceasefire and prisoner swap negotiations continue under the mediation of Egypt and Qatar, the Israeli military has continued intense airstrikes on Gaza. In the last 24 hours, Israeli strikes have resulted in the deaths of 24 Palestinians. And of course, the attacks have led to the deaths of over 45,000 Palestinians, including 17,000, almost 17,500 children and close to 12,000 women since last year, and 107,573 individuals injured. And that doesn't, obviously, that doesn't count the thousands of bodies remain trapped under the rubble. So, yeah. I'd like to say that this protest actually means something, but it seems like more of a self-centered kind of thing for the Israelis. I don't think them getting rid of the Palestinians is a big deal. They've just been brainwashed. They've just been told hostages, 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 and that's all they can think about. So, and of course, people haven't forgotten about the ICC arrest warrant for Bibi, and Bibi sure as fuck hasn't forgotten about it. Netanyahu to skip Auschwitz liberation event in Poland over ICC arrest fears. He said, "I'm not going to Poland. I'm going to stand here with my bowl." And this cop behind him was like, "Yeah, you probably shouldn't go to Poland." So Bibi will not attend an event marking the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland over fears he would be arrested and handed over to the ICC, Polish media has reported. Władysław Bartoszewski, Poland's deputy foreign minister who is organizing the ceremony, told Polish newspaper, whatever the fuck that is, yeah. So that Warsaw was committed to respecting the ICC's decision. I'm not even going to try that. That's too many Z's and too much trouble. Last month, the Hague-based court issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, the former Israeli defense minister. The two were accused of the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare and the crimes against humanity of murder, persecution, and other inhumane acts during Israel's ongoing war with Gaza, which began following the Hamas-led attacks last year. All 124 members of the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the ICC, are now compelled to arrest the two Israeli leaders and hand them over to the court. Poland is among its signatories. According to that, both Netanyahu and Israeli President Isaac Herzog are not due to attend the Auschwitz event on January 27th. Israeli Education Minister Yoav Kish is expected to be there. According to the Auschwitz-Birkenau Museum, historians estimate that around 1.1 million people perished in the concentration camp during the less than 5 years of its existence. The majority, around 1 million people, were Jews. Both Gallant and Netanyahu have avoided traveling to Europe or making any stopovers there en route to the United States, which is not a signatory to the Rome Statute. Of course it's not. Several signatories, including the Netherlands, France, and the UK, Ireland, and Belgium, have indicated they would respect the ICC's ruling. However, France later said it believed Netanyahu was covered by immunity, diplomatic immunity, as a sitting head of government because Israel is not a member of the ICC. Oh, France, you fickle motherfuckers. Though international legal experts have rejected this interpretation. They're like, but he's still covered in the immunity. We cannot arrest him. We do not have the gloves to touch him with all this immunity and may get our hands dirty. And I'm like, no, France, that's not a thing. Choosy! Choosy's here. What's up, Choosy? Good to see you, buddy. Some member states have previously flouted their obligation. Both South Africa and Jordan failed to arrest Omar al-Bashir when the Sudanese autocrat who is wanted by the International Court visited them, drawing the ire of human rights groups and the ICC. The ICC does not have enforcement powers, instead relying on the cooperation of member states to arrest and surrender suspects. So, but, you know, I think if he went... Poland is such a cuck, though. They really are. Sorry, if you're Polish, no offense to you. I'm sure you're cool as a citizen, but your government is a bunch of cucks. I'm sure if he went to Poland, they wouldn't arrest him. He's probably not going for other reasons. He probably knows something somebody else doesn't. So, anyway, yeah. So one of these countries is going to catch him. I hope so. So yeah, the Muslims are not the only ones getting fucked over by Israelis, particularly like the Israeli settlers over there. So, Israeli man vandalizes entrance to Palestinian Christian village ahead of Christmas. An Israeli man has vandalized the entrance to a Palestinian Christian village in the Galilee just days before the Christmas holiday. Well, technically, if you're talking about Jesus' birthday, he was born in the summertime, and Christmas is just a holiday that they bastardized a pagan holiday over. But anyway, I'm not here to bash your beliefs. So, according to the Shams radio website, the man defaced the Virgin Mary statue at the entrance of the village of Fasuta on Friday, damaging its glass casing and other decorations around it. The suspect, who was described as a religious Jewish man, that's how do you, religious Jewish, okay, by locals, was caught by a young man from Fasuta and handed over to Israeli police in the city of Malat Tarshiha. Shams Radio spoke to Father Michael Assi, the priest of the Fasuta parish, who confirmed that the attack happened in the early hours of Friday morning. We condemn this provocative action, especially as it comes ahead of Christmas, Assi told the news outlet. In a similar act of vandalism, Israeli settlers set fire to a mosque in the occupied West Bank province of Salfit. The settlers stormed the eastern part of the Marta village on Friday morning, spray-painted racist and Islamophobic slogans on the walls of the Bir al-Walidain mosque, and then set it on fire. Residents were able to put out the fire, and no injuries were reported as a result of the attack. The governor of Salfit, Abdullah Kamil, condemned what he called a heinous crime, holding the Israeli far-right government fully responsible, according to the Palestinian Wafa news agency. He added that such attacks are a byproduct of racist sentiments and ongoing incitement from extremist religious figures and government ministers in Israel. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Ministry of Awqaf and Religious Affairs said in a Facebook post that the arson attack took place around 3 a.m. local time, with the Director of Religious Affairs in the government, Sheikh Othman al-Din, calling for people to stay vigilant amid the possibility of similar crimes happening. The Ministry of Awqaf and Religious Affairs called on the international community and human rights institutions to work to prevent the recurrence of these heinous acts that violate human rights, especially the rights to worship, the ministry said. So, yeah, so the far right there in Israel aren't just Islamophobic. They're Christian phobic too. And some of these like I said, no group is a monolith, but a lot of these factions of the group are very right wing, very hateful of and intolerant of other religions, and that's the thing about religion. It can be a personal thing that helps you, makes you a better person, and in turn you can be a better person for society or whatever. But also at the same time, it can also be used to control you in certain ways and make you, divided, so that you're easily controlled too. Depends on how strong your will is. It's just like anything else, just like any addiction. You could do a drug and not ever put it, pick it up again, or, that's it, you're hooked, or somewhere in between. So the last hospital in Gaza, or at least in North Gaza, of course, Israel says, Hamas, it's Hamas. It's always Hamas. This is from Common Dreams. Olivia Rosane. Israel orders impossible evacuation while attacking one of North Gaza's last hospitals. The IDF on Saturday ordered one of the last partly operating hospitals in northern Gaza to shutter and evacuate, even as hospital staff say there are not enough ambulances to do so safely, and persistent firing on the facility makes people afraid to leave. Yeah, no. I think that's how they want it. At least the people saying you got to get out. Israel launched bomb, artillery, and sniper attacks on the Kamal Adwan Hospital in Beit Lahia beginning Saturday, as the Wafa's news agency reported. The attacks killed 3 people in the area and wounded several, according to Wafa. On Sunday, an Israeli drone strike on the hospital's fuel tanks and power generator shut off its electricity, according to Turkish outlet Anadolu Agency. We currently have nearly 400 civilians inside the hospital, including babies in the neonatal unit, whose lives depend on oxygen and incubators, hospital director Dr. Hussam Abu Safia said in a statement on Sunday. We cannot evacuate these patients safely without assistance, equipment, and time. Every bomb that slams into Kamal Adwan Hospital, every nurse forced to watch a child slip away, every life lost from denied treatment indicts us all. Abu Safia described the onset of what he called an unprecedented attack in a message Saturday evening local time. The Israeli military has targeted the Kamal Adwan Hospital with different types of weapons without prior warning. We are being directly attacked. The ICU unit, along with the maternity and nursing departments, are coming under fire. The bombing is being conducted with tank fire and quadcopters, directly targeting us while we're present inside the hospital departments. We don't know why we're being targeted at this hour. It's because you're Hamas, 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 Hamas. That's all they keep saying. Several people were wounded in attacks on the hospital's laboratory and mechanical department, according to Al Jazeera. What we're seeing now is a deliberate attack on the health facility, Al Jazeera's Hani Mahmoud reported from Deir el-Balah. The Israeli military has ordered evacuations from the hospital, but they have also created an intimidating environment that makes people feel it's unsafe to leave. Mahmoud said he lost contact with the hospital Saturday night. Footage shared on social media and verified by Al Jazeera also showed patients sheltering in hallways to avoid the Israeli attacks. So, I don't need the sound, I don't think so. So these poor people in this hospital, the last hospital in North Gaza, and they're just, sheltering for their lives. Responding to reports from the hospital on Saturday, World Health Organization Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, TAG is what I'm calling that guy, called for a ceasefire around the hospital and for the protection of patients and staff. Tonight's reports of bombardment near Kamal Adwan Hospital and order to evacuate the hospital are deeply worrisome. TAG wrote on social media, the hospital has been in the midst of fighting for too long and the lives of patients are at risk. There's more footage there. Also on Saturday, the Palestine Mental Health Networks and Doctors Against Genocide issued a statement in support of Abu Safia and Kamal Adwan, demanding that the international community act to open a humanitarian corridor in Gaza, protect healthcare facilities and staff, and end the blockade on the besieged enclave. Arguing that the relentless assaults on Kamal Adwan Hospital, a sanctuary meant to save lives in northern Gaza, are part of a deliberate genocidal campaign, they wrote. Humanity cannot pretend not to see. Neutrality in the face of genocide is complicity. Every bomb that slams into Kamal Adwan Hospital, every nurse forced to watch a child slip away, every life lost from denied treatment indicts us all. The world is watching. Will it once again stand idly by as another hospital crumbles, another child's breath is silenced, another fragile hope is extinguished? Or will it finally rise to restore the sanctity of life and the universal right to health? More rhetorical questions at this point. I don't know if you'll get answers to any of those. In a video message shared by Dropsite News early Sunday morning Gaza time, Abu Safia said that he had been ordered to evacuate patients to the Indonesian hospital, but that this would be impossible since the hospital needs ambulances to transport the wounded and would need to move supplies as well. He said a successful evacuation would take days. In a second message on Sunday, he linked the IDF's attacks on Kamal Adwan to similar attacks on hospitals throughout Gaza. In October, a report from the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory concluded that Israel has perpetrated a concerted policy to destroy Gaza's healthcare system, carrying out nearly 500 attacks on healthcare facilities. 500 attacks on healthcare facilities between October 7th of last year and July 30th this year. Abu Safia said that the IDF did not provide hospitals with the support they needed when it ordered evacuations, such as equipment and safe passage. We call on the world to witness this pattern once again. We have repeatedly requested assistance and have openly invited the occupation to see for themselves the internal workings of our hospitals so that we may continue to serve our population without the fear of attack and death. These calls were rejected. We also call on the world to witness that if Kamal Adwan Hospital is decommissioned, there will be no way of preserving conditions of life to the remaining 75,000 plus civilians in North Gaza. We call on the world to witness these crimes of extermination and act now. Abu Safia also said that the IDF was targeting the hospital's fuel tanks, which would explode if hit, causing mass casualties. Gaza's government media office urged the WHO to visit the hospital on Sunday, saying the attack was part of a concerted attempt to destroy Gaza's healthcare system. They don't have bombs here in America for that. They just deny your claims. These attacks are ongoing and have not stopped for nearly 80 days since the ground aggression on the northern Gaza Strip government began, which has claimed the lives of thousands of martyrs, left many missing, wounded, or detained, the statement said. In response to the reports from the hospital, the IDF told the Washington Post that it had not targeted Kamal Adwan on Saturday to its knowledge. We don't know. We don't know. It also said separately that it was operating in Beit Lahia Israel has intensified military operations in northern Gaza over the past 3 months, according to Reuters. The IDF further told Reuters on Friday that it had helped to evacuate more than 100 patients from Kamal Adwan and provided fuel and food to the hospital. Bullshit. It did not respond to a request for comment about Saturday's attacks. Also on Sunday, the Gaza Health Ministry reported that Israeli attacks had killed 32 people and wounded 54 in the last 24 hours. At least 8 people, including children, were killed in a strike on a school-turned-shelter in Gaza. We came out to see the scale of destruction with dead bodies, blood, and body parts all over the place. Israeli warplanes fired 3 missiles on this school. The explosion was huge and frightening to us and to our children, one witness said, who has been displaced by the war. We appeal to the whole world to bring this war to an end. The official Gaza Health Ministry death toll, as we said, stands at over 45,000. And, of course, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch issued reports labeling Israel's assault a genocide, among other organizations and countries, too. So I don't think Israel's ever going to leave Syria. I don't know if HTS knew that or not, but I'm pretty sure once they get in there, it's kind of hard to get them out. Israeli forces fire on Syria protesters, establish permanent positions in the south. This is from Middle East Monitor. Israeli occupation forces have established 7 permanent military positions along the disengagement line in southern Syria, spanning Damascus, Daraa, and Quneitra, reports Al Mayadeen, citing a local source. The posts, located in strategic areas including Mount Hermon, the Yarmouk Basin, and Kurz al-Nafal Hill, provide Israel with critical oversight of the Syrian capital and surrounding areas. The occupation now controls nearly 500 square kilometers of Syrian territory, having demolished numerous Syrian military sites amid the rebel takeover. The occupation army has also advanced toward critical water resources like the Sam Golan Dam and have taken control of the Yarmouk riverbed and the Al-Wada Dam. Tensions escalated on Friday when Israeli forces fired on protesters in the Quneitra countryside. Demonstrators in the village of Ma'ariya were rallying against Israeli encroachment on agricultural lands when a man, identified as Maher al-Hussein, was shot in the leg. The occupation military claimed the protester posed a threat, justifying the use of live ammunition under standard operating procedures, while Syria's de facto leader, Ahmed al-Shara, also known as Abu Mohammed al-Jalani, has ruled out fighting against Israel. The interim government spokesman, Obaid Arnaud, who previously refused to comment on Israel's aggression against the country, said the government's approach will be outlined in the near future without providing details. Sure. People are angry and think that the regime has been replaced by the Israeli aggression. I currently have no further details on this matter, he said, adding that our primary goal is to ensure Syria is safe from any external threats. Well, pal, I'm pretty sure Israel is an external threat. But I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure they are the biggest external threat. You have to watch out for propaganda when it comes to people taking over a country like that and the things they say they're going to do. I'm hoping this is actually true, that this is going to happen, but I don't know. It just smells of PR stunt to me. But women will play a key role in a new Syria, says minister. The newly appointed head of the Women's Affairs Office under the Syrian interim government says the administration will enable women to contribute to the rebuilding of the country ravaged by more than a decade of conflict. In an interview with Al Jazeera from Damascus on Sunday, Aisha al-Dib said the government was committed to engaging Syrian women in social, cultural, and political institutions and recruiting qualified women in healthcare and education sectors. Syrian rebels just set a huge Christmas tree on fire at a city square. Motherfuckers. It's known to us that the Assyrian woman historically is a highly effective woman able to lead across all fields. Today, we are in the process of bringing her back to this leading role in building Syria, a new country, the free country we all aspire for, Al-Dib said. She pledged to encourage women from all the Syrian provinces and ethnicities to participate in an upcoming national conference, which will discuss the future of the country. Al-Dib said the establishment of the Women's Affairs Office with her as its head was in response to questions surrounding the role of the Syrian women in the new government. Syria's new rulers came into power earlier this month, as you know, after HTS forced out Assad. So they got rid of Assad. Western countries are wrestling with their approach to HTS, a former al-Qaeda affiliate. HTS has been designated a terrorist group by many Western governments, despite the group moderating its rhetoric in recent months. The UN Security Council, in a statement earlier this week, urged for the implementation of an inclusive and Syrian-led and Syrian-owned political process that they said should meet the legitimate aspirations of all Syrians, protect all of them, and enable them to peacefully, independently, and democratically determine their own futures. After overthrowing al-Assad, the opposition fighters freed thousands of Syrians from a network of prisons run by the former regime. Tens of thousands of people believed to have been taken into custody by the al-Assad government remains unaccounted for. Al-Dibs also said her office will prepare a report on female detainees released from prisons and work on a comprehensive plan for their welfare. She added that she will seek the prosecution of jail officials accused of rights abuses inside the prisons. She said the spontaneous and disorganized efforts by people who had joined the opposition forces in opening the prisons led to jail records being tampered with. As a result, the whereabouts of many female prisoners were lost. I will launch a phone number that is dedicated to the jailed women, whether for a long time or recently detained, in order to count them and work with them, Al-Dib said. The formerly detained women need psychological support for rehabilitation. They need education, health care, and legal protection as they prepare to file cases against their jailers. Al-Dibs, whose appointment was announced on Friday, is the first woman to hold a ministry in the new Syrian administration. She is recognized for her rights activism and humanitarian works. She earlier worked with a charity in the northwestern governorate of Idlib and in the Syrian refugee camps in neighboring Turkey, which is great, but hopefully it's not just some sort of virtue signaling thing. Say, hey, look, we got women on the staff. See, we're not the head chopping people like you were told we were. We're not those people. Shit going down in Yemen, they're part of the mix over there in the Middle East. As Yemeni army shoots down an F-18 jet, forces USS Harry Truman to withdraw. That was Yemen's, man. The Yemeni forces are they're firecrackers, man. The Yemeni armed forces have announced a significant victory in repelling an American-British attack against the country, which was reportedly orchestrated to support the oppression of the Palestinian people and in retaliation for the ongoing support front that the Yemeni people have launched after October 7th. According to a statement from the Yemeni military, an operation was carried out with 8 cruise missiles and 17 drones. The operation led to several key outcomes. First, the Yemeni forces successfully shot down an F-18 aircraft, while enemy destroyers attempted to confront the Yemeni drones and missiles launched against the aircraft carrier simultaneous to the U.S.-UK aggression against the country. Second, the statement noted that most of the hostile aircraft retreated from Yemeni airspace to international waters in the Red Sea in an effort to defend the aircraft carrier USS Harry Truman, which was being targeted. Third, the attack launched by the coalition on Yemeni territory failed, and the Yemeni armed forces marked a crucial defeat of the aggressors. Fourth, the USS Harry S. Truman, after being subjected to multiple attacks from the missile force, naval forces, and air force, withdrew from its previous location in the Red Sea towards the northern waters. The Yemeni armed forces, while confirming their success in thwarting the American-British aggression, reaffirmed their readiness to confront any further American-British-Israeli provocations in the future. The statement concluded with a strong warning directed at the Israeli and American forces. The Yemeni armed forces warned that Israel and American enemy against aggression on Yemen, and that the Yemeni armed forces will use their full right to defend Yemen and continue to support the Palestinian people until the aggression against Gaza stops and the siege is lifted. It's worth noting that earlier the U.S. Armed Forces had claimed that a U.S. Navy F-18 fighter jet was shot down by friendly fire over the Red Sea. Oh, really? Was it? We'll be talking about that in a second. Dozens of Israelis wounded as Houthi rockets strike Tel Aviv. Back and forth strike. This is from Jason Ditz over there at antiwar.com. Good source for independent news, and plenty of sources there as well. Back and forth strikes between Israel and the Shiite Houthi movement in Yemen seem to be growing this past week. On Thursday morning, Israel launched multiple airstrikes against the Houthi-controlled part of northern Yemen, killing at least 9. Overnight Friday, the Houthis responded with a rocket. The Houthis reported that they had aimed at an unspecified military target in Tel Aviv with a Palestine II hypersonic missile. Yeah, they have the hypersonics now. The Israeli military reported that 23 people were lightly injured by shattered glass. Another 14 were injured trying to flee to shelters. Reportedly, the missile hit a public park, and alarms were activated across central Israel, leading millions to flee to the shelters. The Israeli military's air defenses failed to intercept the missile, and officials are saying they intend to launch an investigation to figure out why that was. It's probably because they're too slow, Jack. Yeah, the Iron Dome is the pudding dome. Israel has long considered the Houthis to be one of their 7 fronts going on at the same time. In practice, Yemen is far enough away from Israel that there have been minimal exchanges for the most part. That might be changing. The Houthis have held northern Yemen since 2014, and a Saudi-led invasion was launched shortly after to try to unite the country under a different faction. Fighting has been ongoing ever since. The ongoing Israel war in the Gaza Strip has increased the regional implications of the Houthi presence as they've been attacking Western ships, both civilian and military, passing through the area near their shoreline as part of an effort to try to support the Palestinians. That has led to a number of U.S. and British airstrikes against northern Yemen as well, though so far it has not ended up removing the Houthis from power. Those guys are entrenched. They ain't going nowhere. So Israel's like, we need to figure this shit out, like real quick, probably. So Israel probes failure to intercept Yemeni ballistic missile after a latest attack. Israel's military is having difficulty defending its cities from missiles fired by the Yemeni armed forces. Israeli media reported yesterday, day before, that was Saturday, after a Yemeni missile exploded in a public park, as we just told you, in Tel Aviv overnight Friday. The Times of Israel writes that the missile launch caused sirens to sound throughout central Israel at 3:44 a.m. local time, sending millions rushing to shelters from their beds. Videos on social media showed the moment of impact and the failed interceptions. Medics said 16 people were lightly injured by the shattered glass from the strike. Footage from the park showed a crater where the missile had impacted. YAF spokesman Brigadier General Yahya Syria announced Saturday that its forces had launched a Palestine II hypersonic missile, like we told you. Brigadier General Syria confirmed that the missile hit its target accurately and that Israel's missile defense systems failed to intercept it. The attack came within the framework of responding to the Israeli aggression on Yemen and in victory for the injustice of the Palestinian people and their mujahideen, and in response to the massacres against civilians in Gaza, Syria stated. So I guess this is part of the damage. Sounds like much damage. Yeah. On Thursday, another YAF ballistic missile evaded Israel's missile defense and struck a building in Ramat Afal. Yedioth Aharonoth wrote that Israel's military had failed to intercept the Yemeni missile for two possible reasons. The first possibility is that the missile was launched in a flat ballistic trajectory from an unexpected direction. Yeah, that'll do it. As a result, Israeli or U.S. detection systems in Saudi Arabia may not have identified it in time to shoot it down. The second possibility is that the Iranians have developed maneuvering warheads which separate from the missile during the final third of their trajectory. The warheads then change direction and course before striking their target. That sounds like some Iron Man shit right there. Because the warheads of ballistic missiles are hypersonic, traveling at 5 times the speed of sound while maneuvering in different directions, they are very difficult for air defense systems to shoot down. The paper notes that the threat posed by maneuvering warheads on Iran's heavy long-range missiles would become existential for Israel should Iran succeed in developing nuclear warheads for these missiles. A single nuclear maneuvering warhead breaching Israel's air defense system could cause catastrophic destruction and loss of life. Israel carried out massive strikes in Yemen on Thursday to punish the YAF and its support for Gaza, where Israeli forces continue the genocide against Palestinians. After the attack, Israeli Prime Minister Shithead McGee said that Ansarallah, the resistance movement now leading the YAF, was among the last resistance groups active after Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Assad regime in Syria. Ansarallah are learning, and they will learn the hard way, that anyone who attacks Israel pays a very heavy price. Fathead threatened. Yes, you'll pay a heavy price. We're going to get you. Welcome back, Moose. Hey, we got Steve in the house, too. Good to see you. Steve Wolbrand in the house. So the U.S. says it's conducted strikes against the Houthi targets in Yemen's capital there in Sana'a. The U.S. military says it conducted airstrikes against targets linked to the Houthi rebels in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, including a missile storage facility and a command and control site. CENTCOM, which oversees U.S. Army operations in the Middle East, said on Saturday that the strikes aim to disrupt and degrade Houthi operations. Good luck with that. A senior Houthi official termed the U.S. strikes terrorist attacks. The American terrorist attacks confirm the lawless rampage and criminality in the region. Mohammed Ali al-Houthi, a member of the Supreme Political Council of the Yemeni rebels, posted on the tweeters. The reckless terrorist actions against Yemen do not stop the support for Gaza, the official said. The Iran-allied group has previously launched attacks on U.S. Navy and merchant vessels in the Red Sea. As we've said, the Bab al-Mandeb and Gulf of Aden, CENTCOM said in a social media post. Later on Sunday, the U.S. military said 2 of its Navy pilots were shot down over the Red Sea in an apparent case of friendly fire. Right. Both pilots were recovered alive, though initial assessments indicate that one of the crew members sustained minor injuries, CENTCOM said. The incident comes amid an uptick in attacks between the Houthis and the Israeli military this week. Israel bombed several targets in Yemen on Thursday, including power stations near the capital. The Israeli bombardment, which killed at least 9 people, followed a missile launched by the Houthis, as we told you. Is this the missile? No, that's CENTCOM. In the latest incident in the early hours of Saturday, the Houthis said they launched their missile, as we told you about that. And the Houthis have been targeting Israel with drones and missiles to pressure the U.S. ally to end its war in Gaza. On Thursday, Washington sanctioned the governor of the central bank in Houthi-controlled Sana'a and several Houthi officials and associated companies, accusing them of helping the group acquire dual-use and weapons components. So, yeah. Houthis are tough. And this is what the U.S. is claiming. U.S. Navy shoots down its own jet during latest aggression on Yemen because American incompetence sounds a hell of a lot better than, oh, the Houthis are kicking our ass. I don't know. That's my take. Maybe I'm wrong. So this is U.S. Central Command. CENTCOM confirmed during the early hours of Saturday that one of its warships in the Red Sea mistakenly shot down an F-18 fighter jet that took part in the latest UK-U.S. aggression on Yemen. Oops! The guided missile cruiser USS Gettysburg, which is part of the USS Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group, mistakenly fired on and hit the F-18, which was flying off the USS Harry S. Truman, CENTCOM said in a statement. As we said, both pilots were reportedly recovered alive. The friendly fire incident took place right after Washington and London conducted a new round of violent airstrikes on the Yemeni capital and the port city of Hodeidah in support of Israel and its ethnic cleansing campaigns in Gaza. And so here's the rest of this there. But yeah, they were saying it was friendly fire, and the Houthis said, "Nah, brother, we were the friendly fire." And it was not so friendly. Droney, the friendly drone killer. Meanwhile, in Iran, there's always the threat of war against them there, but, and they really have to worry about that because of what's going on right now. So Iran faces energy shortage as factories, schools, and government offices close. If your infrastructure is weakened and your economy is weak and you're just pretty much you're ready to be taken over. So Iran has to worry about that. Iran is now facing a major energy crisis that is forcing schools, government offices, and factories to shutter and cutting power and heating to ordinary Iranians. The New York Times reported on yesterday that the Islamic Republic has found itself in a full-blown energy emergency coinciding with recent regional setbacks. We're facing very dire imbalances in gas, electricity, energy, water, money, and environment, President Masoud Pezeshkian announced in a live televised address earlier this month. All of them are at a level that could turn into a crisis. Excuse me. The crisis reached a head last week. The country was virtually shut down to save energy following years of U.S. sanctions, mismanagement, aging infrastructure, wasteful consumption, and Israeli attacks on natural gas pipelines, the New York Times added. The cuts are expected to last at least several weeks. We must apologize to the people that we are in a situation where they have to bear the brunt, Mr. Pezeshkian said. God willing, next year we will try for this not to happen. Yeah, well, one would hope you wouldn't do that next year. The government chose to shut down the supply to 17 power plants that generate electricity rather than cut gas service to residential homes amid freezing winter temperatures. So they have heat but no light. The policy of the government is to prevent cutting gas and heat to homes at all costs, said Hamid Hosseini, a member of the Chamber of Commerce's Energy Committee, told the New York Times. They're scrambling to manage the crisis and contain the damage because this is like a powder keg that can explode and create unrest across the country. Mehdi Bastanchi, the head of the country's Coordination Council of Industries, estimated that manufacturing in Iran had fallen by 30% to 50%, causing tens of billions of dollars in losses. Naturally, the damages from the widespread and abrupt power outage that has lasted all week will be extremely serious for industries, Mr. Bastanchi said. New York Times notes that the crisis is in part the result of Israeli sabotage operations that blew up 2 natural gas pipelines in Iran back in February. Natural gas accounts for about 70% of Iran's source of energy, while 90% of Iranian homes rely on gas for heating and cooking. All across the chain, you basically see challenges where Iran is not able to produce as much electricity as it needs, and at the same time, it's not able to reduce its consumption, said Esfandiar. No way. Esfandiar Batman Geldage? I'm not fucking kidding you. The guy has Batman in his name. That's why I don't pre-read these, because I want to be as excited as you are on these discoveries. I'm fucking, he's Batman now. Said Batman, chief executive of the Bourse and Bazaar Foundation. You got that right. A London-based economic think tank that tracks Iran's economy. It's very difficult to keep this thing going. God, I hope they quote him again because I want to say Batman said it. He's got Batman in his name. I ain't lying. There's the shit right there. Iran began enforcing 2-hour scheduled daily power cuts to residential homes in November in an effort to avoid using mazout, a highly polluting heavy fuel oil, in the power plants of Arak, Karaj, and Isfahan. It's not just for part of society to pay for electricity production with their health, government spokesperson Fatemeh Mohajirani said, suggesting scheduled power outages as temporary alternative to reduce air pollution. I wanted to hear Batman say some more shit. I wonder if people ask him if he's Batman. But now the cuts happen randomly and last longer. Power outage has severely affected daily life and work. When the power goes out, the water's also cut off and the boilers are turned off. And as a result, all the heating devices are out of order, said Safida, a 32-year-old teacher in Tehran. Political analyst and Cradle contributor Fereshta Sadeghi wrote on the social media tweeters that Pezeshkian's government has sought to deflect blame for the crisis. The president claims the administration of former President Ibrahim Raisi had similar problems, although power outages at that time mainly targeted industry and not ordinary people. Supporters of Raisi have responded by saying that Pezeshkian's administration should have stockpiled enough fuel oil this summer to feed power stations now. Sadeghi adds that the power cuts are causing enough disruption in daily life to potentially cause anti-government protests in Iran. Batman. God, that's awesome. Sad story, but awesome name. You know, you got to get your silver linings where you can, kids. Sorry, I'm that guy. Meanwhile, Ukraine is striking Russian targets with drones, and Putin is having no more of that. Putin vows retaliation for Ukrainian drone strike. Batman! I'm never going to forget that. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that the organizers of Saturday's drone attack on the city of Kazan will face a harsh retaliatory response. Whoever, no matter how hard they try to destroy something in Russia, they will face many times greater destruction in their own country for it, and will also regret what they are trying to do in our country, he said yesterday. Addressing Tatarstan's leader, Rustam Minikhanov, Putin expressed confidence that the Republic will manage to recover from the attack on its capital, Kazan. Wish that guy had Batman in his name. That would be great, too. I'm certain that the regional authorities will restore everything that was damaged by our enemies and adversaries, he said, speaking at a video conference on launching new transport infrastructure projects. The December 21st attack on Kazan targeted residential buildings and a factory, causing damage but no casualties, according to local authorities. Officials reported 8 drone strikes in total, including 6 on residential buildings, 1 on an industrial enterprise, and 1 which was intercepted over a river. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, Kiev has deployed 3 waves of fixed-wing drones. Russian air defenses shot down 3 of the incoming UAVs, and 3 more were downed with the help of electronic warfare systems, the military reported Saturday. Since the Ukraine conflict escalated in February 2022, Kiev has repeatedly targeted Russian border regions such as Bryansk, Belgorod, and Kursk. Drone strikes have also reached Moscow on several occasions. Kazan, in comparison, lies much further away, approximately 857 miles from Ukraine. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova suggested that the terrorist attack was Kiev's revenge for the BRICS summit, which Kazan hosted in October, and demonstrated the power and influence of this association in the world. It was also an attempt to intimidate the population of one of the dynamically developing regions of our country, she said in a statement on Saturday. Yes, Maria, you're always right. I don't care what you say. Your propaganda is the only propaganda I'll listen to because she's very sweet. Oh, speaking of shitty people, look who just popped in. No, I'm kidding. What's up, Prop? Happy Festivus to you, asshole. I hope you don't get anything. I hope you don't get any presents. So a wave of attempted arson attacks have been hitting Russia as well. Russia has seen a wave of attempted arson attacks targeting banks, shopping centers, post offices, and government buildings over the last 3 days, according to media reports. Around 20 separate cases of individuals trying to set off small explosive devices or launching fireworks into buildings have been recorded since Friday, mostly in St. Petersburg, Moscow, and the surrounding suburbs, according to the state-run TASS news agency and the independent Fontanka site. Fontanka, don't you want one? Fontanka, don't you want one? Citing an unnamed law enforcement source, TASS reported that the people had been recruited by online fraudsters offering money for the attempted attacks. Footage from surveillance cameras at some of the sites shared on social media appeared to show individuals using their mobile phones to film the fires they tried to set off. Images from the aftermath of one attack showed a destroyed ATM and nearby windows blown out, while another showed a burnt-out police car. Cash machines of state-run banks, shopping centers, post offices, military enlistment offices, police vehicles, and other administrative buildings have all been targeted. State lender Sberbank reported a 30% increase in attempted arson attacks over the last week, according to RIA Novosti, state news agency, citing the bank's press service. Most of those detained after the attempted attacks were pensioners. TASS reported Sberbank said they had been recruited by scammers in Ukraine. Moscow's FSB security service has previously warned Russians that Ukrainian fraudsters posing as security agents have called elderly citizens asking them to carry out arson attacks in exchange for money or to regain access to block accounts. Wow. Old people out there with like Molotov cocktails. That's like out of a bad 80s movie. There was no reaction from Kiev to the wave of attempted attacks or accusations they were being orchestrated from Ukrainian territory. Several Russian military enlistment offices were hit in arson attacks using homemade Molotov cocktails. Those mollies, baby. They're not just for drinks. Since Moscow ordered troops into Ukraine in February 2022, the recruitment buildings became more heavily targeted after Putin announced an unpopular conscription drive in September 22 that saw more than 300,000 Russians forcibly drafted to fight in a conflict. Russian courts have handed out several years-long prison sentences to those arrested for the attacks. So dealing with arson there, too. Protests are going on in Serbia as well. Thousands protest in Serbia as anger mounts over train station accident. The tens of thousands of Serbians have gathered in the capital Belgrade to protest against President Aleksandar Vučić and his ruling Serbian Progressive Party, the SNS, which they blame for a railway station roof collapse last month that killed 15 people. The rally, one of the largest in recent years, was called on Sunday by university students and farmer unions and took place in Belgrade's Slavija Square. See, look at that. University students and farmers getting together. That's what we got to do, folks. We got to get together with peoples. It began with 15 minutes of silence as a tribute to as many people killed after the concrete canopy of the recently renovated roof of Novi Sad station caved in on November 1st. 14 people aged between 6 and 74 were killed that day, and a 15th victim died in hospital weeks later. Prosecutors have arrested 13 people over the incident, including a government minister whose release later led to public skepticism about the honesty of the investigation. Look at that. All cops are bad, even in Belgrade. Opposition leaders and the public have taken to the streets repeatedly, blaming the accident on shoddy construction resulting from government corruption and nepotism. The ruling coalition denies those charges, and Vučić has said those responsible must be held to account. Well, it's you. You're supposed to be held to account. Okay, all those except me are held to account. The protesters on Sunday evening switched on the lights of their mobile phones and shouted, Vučić thief. Others held up banners reading, we are all under the canopy and you have blood on your hands. We came here to say stop to everything that has been happening since 2012 when Vučić's party took over, said Alexa, 30, an IT expert from Novi Sad. We want to see an end to corruption and nepotism. Many are demanding that Serbia's leader, as well as the mayor of Novi Sad, resign, that those found responsible be prosecuted. They're also calling for legal proceedings to be dropped against demonstrators and for the prosecution of those who attacked the protesters. Serbia's popular theater and movie actors joined the protest, with actor Bane Trifunovic describing Sunday's rally as a festival of freedom. Yeah, I remember doing this picture with this guy. We called him Bane Trifecta because we couldn't pronounce his fucking name. Anyway, he's a great guy. He can pound back the sauce, too. His liver's probably fucked. Smaller rallies were also held in the cities of Nis and Kragujevac. In a bid to calm the protests, authorities over the past week have promised various subsidies for young people, students, and other... What, you not bashing them over the head? What the hell? You gonna offer them shit? What's this noise? Students and other citizens supporting them have continued to protest, saying their demands have only been partially met. Despite the ongoing demonstrations, Vučić on Sunday inaugurated a section of a newly built highway in central Serbia. Vučić said he would not budge to opposition's demands for a transitional government and accused his opponents of using students to try to seize power. We will beat them again, he said. They, the opposition, don't know what to do but to use someone's children. The weeks-long protests have occurred amidst general discontent with Vučić's rule. He said he wants to take Serbia into the European Union, but has faced accusations of curbing democratic freedoms rather than advancing them. Well, isn't that sad? Yeah, so it's popping off in Serbia now. So there was a terrorist attack over the weekend in Germany. The Germany's Christmas market attack. Now they have a suspect held on murder charges. I don't know if you heard about this. A man suspected of plowing a car through crowds at a German Christmas market in an attack that killed 5 people and injured scores faces multiple charges of murder and attempted murder, police said yesterday. Friday evening's attack in the central city of Magdeburg shocked the country and stirred up tensions over the charged issue of immigration. The suspect, who was in custody, is a 50-year-old psychiatrist from Saudi Arabia with a history of anti-Islamic rhetoric who has lived in Germany for almost 2 decades. The motive for the attack remained unclear. There were scuffles and some minor disturbances at a far-right demonstration attended by around 2,100 people on Saturday night in Magdeburg, police said. They added that criminal proceedings would follow, but did not give details. Protesters, some wearing black balaclavas, held up a large banner with the word remigration, a term popular with supporters of the far right who seek to the mass deportation of immigrants and people deemed not ethnically German. Not ethnically German. You better watch it. You know, you guys got that history thing. Other residents gathered to pay their respects to the dead. A magistrate ordered the suspect, identified in German media as Talib A., into pretrial custody on charges of murder on 5 counts, as well as multiple counts of attempted murder and grievous bodily harm, police said in a statement. Reuters could not immediately ascertain if the suspect had a lawyer. Those killed were a 9-year-old boy and 4 women aged 52, 45, 75, and 67, the police statement said. Among the wounded, around 40 had serious or critical injuries. Authorities said the suspected attacker used emergency exit points to drive onto the grounds of the Christmas market, where he picked up speed and plowed into the crowds, hitting more than 200 people in a 3-minute attack. He was arrested at the scene. German authorities have not named the suspect, and German media reports have given his name only as Taleb A, as we said, in keeping with the local privacy laws. As authorities investigated a possible motive, the Magdeburg prosecutor Horst Nopens, interesting name, said on Saturday that one possible factor could be what he called the suspect's frustration with Germany's handling of Saudi refugees. The suspect had been strongly critical of Islam in the past and had appeared in a number of media interviews in 2019 reporting on his work helping Saudi Arabians who had turned their back on Islam to flee to Europe. He had also voiced support on social media platform Tweeters for the far-right Alternative for Germany party and for U.S. billionaire Elon Musk, who has backed the AfD. The AfD has strong support in the former East Germany, where Magdeburg is located. Opinion polls put it in second place nationally ahead of elections in February. Its members, including the candidate for Chancellor Alice Weidel, planned a rally in Magdeburg on Monday evening. Saudi Arabia has repeatedly flagged to Germany concerns over posts of the suspect's social media, according to a Saudi source and a German security source. The Christian Democrats, Germany's main opposition party, and the Free Democrats, who were part of the coalition government until its collapse last month, called for improvements to Germany's security apparatus, including better coordination between federal and state authorities. The background must be clarified, but above all, we must do more to prevent such offenses, especially as there were obviously specific warnings and tips in this case that were ignored. Sarah Wagenknecht, leader of the leftist BSW party, told the Welt newspaper. BSW, a new political party with far-left roots, has also condemned unchecked immigration and has gained considerable support ahead of the February 23rd election. Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who Social Democrats are trailing in opinion polls, attended a service for victims in Magdeburg's cathedral on Saturday. Yeah. More German news. Is going to be cuts at the Volkswagen plants. Volkswagen deal with union entails 35,000 future job cuts, capacity reductions. Volkswagen, once a lauded company, now, boy, look at it. German automaker giant Volkswagen announced major changes to its German operations, including more than 35,000 future job cuts and capacity reductions following a last-minute deal between the car maker and unions on Friday. Union leaders said the deal was a Christmas miracle. A Christmas miracle? Was that supposed to be Christmas? I don't know who Christmas is. After 70 hours of brutal negotiations, the longest in the company's history, the deal averted mass strikes across Volkswagen sites. Measures sought out by Volkswagen aim to enhance the company's standing and its chances of competing with Chinese-made electric vehicles, following feeble demand in Europe and slower than expected adoption of EVs as the continent pushes for a green transition. Around 100,000 workers staged 2 separate strikes in the past month to protest the administration's plans for wage cuts, reduced capacity, and shutting down plants. After long and intensive negotiations, the agreement is an important signal for the future viability of the Volkswagen brand, Group CEO Oliver Bloom said in a statement. The deal will allow savings of 15 billion euros per year in the medium term, according to Volkswagen. Meanwhile, Works Council Chief Daniela Cavallo says that the deal will secure wage agreements for the long term. No site will be closed, no one will be laid off for operational reasons, and our company wage agreement will be secured for the long term, she revealed. With this triple deal, we've achieved a rock-solid solution under the most difficult economic conditions, she added. The crisis at Volkswagen has emerged during a period of uncertainty and political turbulence in Europe's largest economy, compounded by broader challenges facing the region's automakers. Reviving Germany's sluggish growth has become a key campaign issue ahead of February's snap election, with Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who is trailing in the polls, urging Volkswagen to keep all its factories operational. Please, please keep your Volkswagen operational, otherwise they will not elect me Hogan. Sorry. Well, Hogan's Heroes there for you. So, the UK, much like the United States, loves to spread themselves thin. And that's pretty much how they lost their empire in the first place. There used to be the saying, the sun never sets on the British Empire. Well, once you get to that point, you've kind of spread yourself thin, and now you lend yourself to collapse. And the same thing happened with the Roman Empire. So the British Empire right now, not so much, as their forces are dwindling. The British Army struggling for recruits. Over 15,000 British soldiers left the armed forces in November last year through October of this year. The Telegraph reported on Saturday the resignations continue to come despite the government's attempt to stem the recruitment crisis with a record pay raise. Dum, dum, dum. The newspaper noted that more than half of more than 15,000 people who left the country's military forces during the specified time frame had resigned voluntarily. However, during the same period, they reportedly recruited some 12,000 personnel, resulting in a net shrinkage, of the military. In July, the Ministry of Defense announced a 6% pay raise, the largest in more than 2 decades, in an effort to tackle the raging recruitment crisis. The Telegraph noted that the move, however, failed to alter the current predicament, with new recruits to the forces remaining among the worst-paid public servants in the UK. Inflation-adjusted pay for Army privates has reportedly increased only 1.9% since 2011, versus the 13.39% and 10.14% increases recorded for new junior doctors and train drivers correspondingly. In May, satisfaction with the basic rate of pay in the military hit the lowest level on record, according to an armed forces survey as quoted by the newspaper. The poll conducted prior to the government's raises showed that only 32% of respondents said they were happy with their remuneration packets. They're happy with more money. Earlier this month, Alistair Cairns, the defense minister and former Royal Marine, claimed that the regular British Army could be wiped out in as little as 6 months if forced to fight a war on the scale of the Ukraine conflict. I probably shouldn't tell Russia that. It's like, oh, the UK can only last 6 months, eh? I do not like bangers and mash or fish and chips, but maybe we take over, yes? As of October this year, there were 181,550 members of the country's armed forces, including total full-time trained and untrained UK service personnel, according to the latest Ministry of Defense figures. This marks a decrease of 2% since October 1st last year. In November, a spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense said that the current government inherited a recruitment crunch, adding that the targets had been missed annually for the past 14 years. We've already given personnel the largest pay raise in decades and scrapped 100 outdated policies that block and slow down recruitment, the ministry stressed. See, and they're having that trouble here in the United States, too, with recruitment. Recruitment numbers are down here, too, because the kids are starting to figure out, hey, wait a minute, I'm not fighting for my country. I'm fighting for some bullshit. Shit, I'd rather just play video games. I'm good, fam. I'm good. So good on these kids. I hope that's what they're saying. So we told you that Chad had troops, had French troops there that are now about to head out. So France rushes to withdraw those troops from Chad following the new deadline. The situation caught France by surprise. It was preparing to start withdrawing its ground troops in Chad from next week. Then on Friday, Paris received a communique from the authorities demanding the total withdrawal of all personnel from its base in N'Djamena, by December 31st, the end of this year. This is another setback for France. Chad was the last stronghold of French influence in the Sahel region of West Africa. Paris was planning to begin repatriating its soldiers from Tuesday, although sources suggest negotiations were underway for a gradual withdrawal ending in March. Now, Paris has to speed things up, sending the first 120 men back to France on Friday afternoon. The situation in the country has evolved rapidly. In October, 40 Chadian soldiers were killed in an attack by Boko Haram insurgents on a military post in the Lake Chad region. The government accused France in particular of refusing to provide information and assistance following the violent attack. Paris's failure to help did not go down well with Jamina, which demanded the withdrawal of French soldiers from Chad, ending its defense pact. This was followed by a series of demonstrations in towns across the country calling for the French army to leave. The end of the Chad-France defense pact raises questions about who Jamina might turn to next and what this means for the region. Indeed. Wait, what are we doing here? Okay. Yeah, we got more here. In Mozambique, things are starting to heat up there as tensions peak in Mozambique as results do in disputed vote there. Mozambique is braced for an escalation in protests after the announcement due by today of final results of a disputed election, a turning point in 2 months of unrest that has killed 130 people and caused major disruption. Opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has threatened chaos. I threaten chaos on a daily basis, but nobody cares. If the Constitutional Council validates the initial results that found he came second in the October 9th vote to the candidate of the ruling Frelimo party. The country is in your hands, Mondlane told the council Monday in one of its regular social media broadcasts from an unknown location abroad. If we get the electoral truth, we will go towards peace, said the 50-year-old who had been directing protests from self-imposed exile while leaving Mozambique weeks ago, saying he feared for his safety. If it is an electoral lie, we will bring the country down to a precipice, chaos, and disorder, Mondlane said in the broadcast, which has been watched by around 2.4 million people. The council is, however, expected to sign off on the results of the election commission, which said that Mondlane won 20% compared to 71% for Daniel Chapo, the Frelimo candidate. Mondlane said the count was rigged in favor of Frelimo, and a separate count shows that he won 53% to 36% for Chapo. The dispute has sparked an explosion of unrest in the impoverished southern African nation. Protests have brought city centers to a standstill, disrupted industry and power plants, and halted operations at the main border with South Africa, causing its neighbor major losses in exports. Police have been accused of using live bullets against protesters, with at least 130 people killed, according to the local civil society group Plataforma Decide, who figures have been cited by Amnesty International. The U.S. government on Thursday raised its warning level against travel to Mozambique, saying protests can quickly become violent. The country's largest industrial employer, Mozal Aluminum, said it was making contingency plans in case of civil unrest after the announcement. I'm convinced that if Monday the Constitutional Council declares the election as free and fair, which I am 100% convinced it will, then the blood is going to flow, said Maputo-based political and security risk analyst Johan Smith. He told the AFP. The council has to deliver its ruling by today to allow President Filipe Nyusi to hand over power to the end of his constitutionally limited 2 terms on January 15th. Mondlane said Wednesday he believed that Nyusi, 67, wanted to use the escalating tension to declare a state of emergency and stay in power. Nyusi dismissed the suggestion in an address to the nation on Thursday. I've always said that I have no intention of strengthening powers, and much less to serve a 3rd term. I swore to respect the Constitution, and I want to make it clear that I will leave power in January 2025. There are also major fractures within Frelimo, which has governed since independence from Portugal in 1975. including between Nyusi and Chapo, who is expected to take over from him. Most likely scenario is that results will be approved, but with some minor changes, for example, to the handing of 195 of 250 parliamentary seats to Frelimo, says analyst Borges Namire. Mozambique doesn't have money to organize a new election, he said. Protests have already been called for Monday. The main cities, including Maputo, will be under siege because of the fear of protests, he said. The whole game changes on Monday, said Smith, who is based in Maputo. Until now, there were a few incidents, looting, and so on, but in the greater scheme of things, the protests were mainly calm, and there weren't a lot of problems. Everyone is recharging and preparing for the announcement on Monday. It will be a lot more intense and bloody. Yikes. Always something crazy going on over there for sure. Finally, in the old news block there, tense situation between China and Taiwan. Of course, U.S. in the mix there, poking the bear, or in this case, the panda. China condemns U.S. military support for Taiwan. Hey, Ellen, good to see you. Good morning to you, dear. Hope you're doing well. China has strongly condemned and strongly opposed the U.S. recent military assistance and arms sales to Taiwan. A spokesperson from the Chinese Foreign Ministry announced on Sunday that the government lodged solemn representations with Washington. This comes after the White House disclosed a military assistance package for Taiwan on Saturday valued at $571.3 million, while the U.S. Department of Defense confirmed the State Department's approval of arms sales amounting to $295 million. The Chinese spokesperson emphasized that these actions breached the One China principle and violated the 3 joint communiques between China and the U.S., particularly the August 7, 1982 communique, which reaffirms China's sovereignty and security concerns. The spokesperson also asserted that the U.S. decision constitutes a significant violation of commitments made by U.S. leaders to oppose Taiwan independence, cautioning that it sends a dangerously misguided signal to separatist forces pushing for Taiwan's independence. Yes. So, World War III is coming, folks. I don't think we have to hide that fact anymore. I think we pretty much know that it's coming. There's still the optimists out here who think, oh, well, we'll just, don't worry, we'll get the right people in and we can stop all this. No, that's just here. You got rotten leaders and puppets all around the world. What are you going to do about them? That's the thing you have to be concerned about. So, and here in our propaganda watch, we started off with a mystery, folks. This shit is wild. I didn't even know this was happening. Apparently there was a missing congresswoman, but she's been found, but turns out she probably had dementia. Keep voting.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things that are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Now they're hiding their congresspeople. This is from the Post in New York, so, take it for what you will. Texas Representative Kay Granger, 81, who missed 6 months of key House votes, found living at retirement community that specializes in memory care. This is lady right here. She's like, what? I've been here this whole time. You looking for me? What the fuck? I love the Post. The Post, they're such assholes, but sometimes they're just like, I don't know. I just like their writing when it comes to shit like this. An elderly Texas member of Congress, make sure everybody knows she's old, who has been seemingly missing from the Capitol for 6 months, is now living in a retirement community that specializes in memory care, and even her family acknowledges she has exhibited possible signs of dementia. Longtime Republican Representative Kay Granger has not cast a vote in Washington, D.C. since July, despite the GOP's super slim majority in the chamber. Questions about Granger's health caused massive uproar after the Dallas Express, which was founded by one of her political opponents, reported on Friday that she was living full-time in a memory care unit and was moved there after she was found wandering her neighborhood. Keep voting. Granger did not run for re-election in November, but her disappearance is especially significant given the tiny majority Republicans hold in the House and the massive votes that are taking place, including the government spending bill in the waning days of her tenure. Her son told the Post that the claim was a load of bullshit and that she moved into a condo in an independent living community because it was getting bored and lonely in her Fort Worth apartment. Three sources close to Granger, including her son, Brandon, her current spokesperson, and another source familiar, have denied to the Post that she is living in the memory care unit. Her son was coy with the Post about whether she received care from that unit. They have a memory care facility there, but she's in an independent living facility. It's a nice condo. I helped her move in, Brandon Granger said. Granger acknowledged that his mother has exhibited signs of dementia, but that they only emerged in the last 3 months after she was already living at the facility. The source familiar told the Post that Granger had been in contact with leadership from the beginning, letting them know what was going on, and would have been happy to travel back to D.C. if they needed her for a specific vote. Granger's spokesperson released a statement attributed to her that said, "I am deeply grateful for the outpouring of care and concern over the past several days. As many of my family, friends, and colleagues have known, I've been navigating some unforeseen health challenges over the past year. How. Ever since early September, my health challenges have progressed, making frequent travel to Washington both difficult and unpredictable." Dallas Express reporters who visited the facilities to confirm Granger's residency and inquire about how she planned to vote on the spending bill were not permitted to speak with the Congresswoman, according to the publication. Employees, however, confirmed that Granger was living in the facility, the Express reported. The CEO of the Dallas Express is Chris Putnam, who ran against Granger in the 2020 Republican primary and lost. Granger had been the first female Republican to serve as chair of the powerful House Appropriations Committee, but abruptly stepped down from that role in March, handing the baton off to Representative Tom Cole out of Oklahoma. She was notably absent from the government funding flap in Congress last week that once put Congress to the brink of a government shutdown. Despite her pronounced absence from votes in Washington, D.C. over recent months, Granger made an appearance last month when she was honored with a portrait. House Speaker Mike Johnson, I wonder if he has a brother named Richard, and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise were present at the unveiling. A source underscores that if Kay Granger, who was first elected to the lower chamber in 1997, retired in September, then there would have been a special election, and her constituents in Texas's 12th congressional district would have been without key services. Or without K services. Saying such a name. Okay. Congress was on recess throughout August and October, during a large chunk of the time that the Lone Star State Republican was out of the nation's capital. Still, while her absence flew under the radar of much of the national press, it did not go entirely unnoticed by her constituency. Local officials expressed their disappointment about Granger's clear absence from Washington after representing her district since 1997. Tarrant County Republican Chairman Beau French said the lack of representation during a crucial voting period in Congress was troubling, to say the least. At a time when extraordinarily important votes are happening, including debt ceiling, disaster relief, farm bills, and border issues, Kay Granger is nowhere to be found. The margin in Congress is razor thin, and the lack of a Republican vote representing CD12 disenfranchises 2 million people. We deserve better, French said. State Republican Executive Committeeman Rolando Garcia said it was a sad and humiliating way for Granger to end her 30-year political career, which included being mayor of Fort Worth. The fact that Kay Granger is unable to leave her nursing home to participate in the most important congressional vote of the year suggests she was already in visible decline when she ran for re-election in 2022. Garcia wrote on the tweeters, "A sad and humiliating way to end her political career. Sad that nobody cared enough to take away the keys before she reached this moment. And a sad commentary on the congressional gerontocracy," he added. Granger's constituents also expressed their concerns over the lack of representation, suggesting that Congressman-elect Craig Goldman, who won her seat in November, should take over the job early. "We need someone there with their full capacities. Swear Craig in early. That's the solution. That's the right thing to do. She just missed a big vote. It wasn't won or lost on one vote, but we still have to protect our country. It's not about hurt feelings. She's a public servant. We have thanked her for her service, but now she needs to resign," Tarrant County resident Holly Plemons told the Express. Granger and her staff will remain on taxpayer payroll until January 3rd. So we got Drinky McDrinks-a-lot and has insider trading knowledge with Pelosi. You got the turtle guy and other people just sitting there just with the modem sounding the beep beep beep. Yeah. So that's some crazy shit that and they just put up with it, The constituents are like, well, but, they didn't vote for her this time around. But, they're like, well, at least you should finish your job, maybe. Huh? Anyway. So a U.S. judge, meanwhile, has found Israeli spyware firm NSO liable for hacking in WhatsApp lawsuit. I know, you're shocked, right? A U.S. judge ruled on Friday in favor of WhatsApp in a lawsuit accusing Israel's NSO group of exploiting a bug in the messaging app to install spy software, allowing unauthorized surveillance. Naughty, naughty, naughty. U.S. District Judge Phyllis Hamilton in Oakland, California, granted a motion by WhatsApp and found NSO liable for hacking and breach of contract. The case will now proceed to a trial only on the issue of damages, Hamilton said. NSO Group did not immediately respond to an emailed request for comment. What's this? You can stop now. Will Cathcart, the head of WhatsApp, said the ruling is a win for privacy. "We spent 5 years presenting our case because we firmly believe that spyware companies could not hide behind immunity or avoid accountability for their unlawful actions," Cathcart said in social media posts. Well, unless you're Israel, then you can get away with it all day long, apparently. Surveillance companies should be on notice that illegal spying will not be tolerated. A WhatsApp spokesperson said they were grateful for the decision. "We're proud to have stood up against NSO and thankful to the many organizations that were supportive of this case. WhatsApp will never stop working to protect people's private communication," he said. Cybersecurity experts welcomed the judgment. John Scott Railton, a senior researcher with Canadian internet watchdog Citizen Lab, which first brought to light NSO's Pegasus spyware in 2016, called the judgment a landmark ruling with huge implications for the spyware industry. The entire industry has hidden behind the claim that whatever their customers do with their hacking tools is not their responsibility, he said in an instant message. Today's ruling makes it clear that NSO Group is in fact responsible for breaking numerous laws. WhatsApp in 2019 sued NSO, seeking an injunction and damages, accusing it of accessing WhatsApp servers without permission 6 months earlier to install the Pegasus software on victims' mobile devices. The lawsuit alleged the intrusion allowed the surveillance of 1,400 people, including journalists, human rights activists, and dissidents. NSO had argued that Pegasus helps law enforcement and intelligence agencies fight crime, and protect national security, and that its technology is intended to help catch terrorists, pedophiles, and hardened criminals. But when you set it to not Israel, then none of those things happen. NSO appealed to trial judge's 2020 refusal to award it conduct-based immunity, a common law doctrine protecting foreign officials acting in their official capacity. Upholding that ruling in 2021, the San Francisco-based Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals called it an easy case because NSO's mere licensing of Pegasus and offering technical support did not shield it from liability under a federal law called the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act, which took precedence over common law. The U.S. Supreme Court last year turned away NSO's appeal of the lower court's decision, allowing the lawsuit to proceed. Very good. Meanwhile, Facebook hosted advertisements, fundraising for Israeli army and lawmakers. Why, again, I know this is shocking news. You would have never found this out on your own. Facebook has been hosting paid adverts for charities fundraising for Israeli army battalions accused of war crimes and lawmakers encouraging the resettlement of the Gaza Strip. Hang on just a sec. Echo, a U.S.-based campaigning organization, identified 98 Facebook adverts targeting Europe and the U.S. to solicit funds for Israeli army equipment, including advanced thermal drones, assault rifle sights, armor, night vision goggles, and helmets. The most concerning issue with these fundraising appeals is their focus on drones potentially used in the ongoing violence in Gaza and Lebanon, Echo said in its report. Many of the drones are reportedly modified by the Israeli army to carry explosives. One advert showed a soldier called Kobe, who is identified as a lead machine gunner for the 551 Commando Brigade, making an appeal for night vision goggles in front of a destroyed mosque. Earlier this year, Bellingcat identified the 551 Commando Brigade working with the 8219 Combat Engineering Battalion on widespread demolitions in Gaza, including residential blocks, mosques, and entire neighborhoods. The UN Special Rapporteur on Adequate Housing has described these demolitions as potential crimes against humanity. Another advert from the Sadaka Center, the Neil Sadaka? Well, that's with a T. The T is silent, but the music isn't. The music hits your soul like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex. I think that was Dr. Dre. A Miami-based nonprofit featured an Israeli captain asking for donations. The advert links to the Chesed Fund, which hosts a campaign to purchase armor plates, tactical helmets, vests, assault rifle lasers, and advanced drones. Echo highlighted in its report that these advertisements may violate EU and U.S. laws governing nonprofits and could affect charities' tax-deductible contributions if the funds are directed towards military purposes. Mayan Hamad, a campaigner for Echo, said Meta has become the megaphone for the Israeli far right since Israel launched its war on Gaza after October 2023. Meta has become the megaphone for the Israeli far right, amplifying their calls and profiting from their ads, which push their extremist and genocidal policies, Hamad told Middle East Eye. Worse yet, the platform is also a hub for groups to fundraise for military equipment used by IDF units implicated in war crimes. This is far from an oversight. It's another example of Meta's profit-driven betrayal of human rights. There's some things there. Screenshot from Facebook's ad library showing an advert raising money for the Israeli Army's 551 Commando Brigade. So the campaigning group also identified a series of Hebrew language adverts targeting users in Israel paid for by Israeli members of parliament. These adverts describe Palestinians as savages and bloodthirsty and called on the Israeli army to use the Dahiyya doctrine, the mass destruction of civilian infrastructure, against Palestinians. Other adverts identified by Echo include posts by Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, the Religious Zionism Party, and the Noam Party. Data from Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, showed that Israeli lawmakers' adverts targeted audiences inside Israel. One advert for Smotrich, which ran in October this year, declared that his life mission is to ensure that a Palestinian state will never be established. Medicare for all will never come to pass. Remember that bitch saying that? It's taking Gaza and multiplying it 20 times. Another advert from Yossi Dagan, head of the Samaria Regional Council, a West Bank settler group, was posted on Meta's platforms. It showed Dagon speaking at a Gaza resettlement conference declaring, "This is our land and we are here to build it." Spokesperson for Meta said it was investigating Echo's findings. We do not allow hate speech on our platforms and have community standards that apply to all content, including ads, the Meta spokesperson told Emmy. Yeah, their community standards don't like just regular-ass pictures of people in Chicago either, and will shut down your account just for reasons, and they don't tell you the reasons. Our ad policies also don't allow ads that promote the sale or use of weapons. Our ads review process has several layers of analysis and detection, both before and after an ad goes live, and ads may be rejected or restricted for violations of our policies at any time. We are investigating the ads cited in this report. Echo's report follows a BBC investigation that found Facebook and Meta had restricted content posted by Palestinian news outlets since the start of the current war in Gaza. Facebook data analysis found that Palestinian newsrooms had experienced a steep drop in audience engagement since October last year. The BBC also obtained leaked documents that showed Instagram increased its moderation of Palestinian user comments after October of last year. Meta denied the claims to the BBC and described them as unequivocally false. "How dare you, sir? I said nothing of the sort. I take off my gloves and smack thee in the face. I challenge you to a duel." Meanwhile, the UN's asking, why did online footage of a historic UN panel in Riyadh disappear? What? Just poof? Isn't it amazing how we lost the footage? Like the NASA footage, there's like, what happened to all this shit on the moon? We lost it. You mean the most historic thing mankind's ever done and you lost all the shit? What are you going to do, right? What do you want from my life? Sorry, went on a tangent. Human rights groups have called on the UN to investigate why a video and transcript of their event at a flagship UN forum on internet policies held in Riyadh were removed online. The workshop, co-hosted by Human Rights Watch and ALXT on Wednesday afternoon at the UN Internet Governance Forum, the IGF, in the capital of Saudi Arabia, focused on the UN's new cybercrime treaty and its potential impact on transnational repression. The panel was notable for a couple of reasons. It was the first time in nearly a decade that Human Rights Watch had sent representatives to the kingdom. It also featured Saudi activist Lina al-Hathlul, one of few, if any, Saudi civil society leaders speaking at the forum held next to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where Saudi royals, officials, and business people were detained and tortured in 2017. A moment of silence was held at the start of the event for human rights defenders across the region who had been punished for expressing themselves online, including Assad and Mohammed al-Ghamdi and Noura al-Khatani, held in Saudi prisons on decades-long sentences over social media posts. Hathlul spoke remotely, saying she was concerned for her safety in the kingdom. She noted the travel bans imposed on her family, including her sister, the women's rights activist Lujain al-Hathlul, since 2018. She told the audience that Saudi Arabia was a cautionary tale that showed how the UN cybercrime treaty could be weaponized in the hands of governments that are already using cybercrime laws to suppress dissent. Civil society can no longer speak independently, and those who dare to express what the authorities consider dissent are often silenced through imprisonment or worse, Hathlul said. Hathlul, who is Al-Quist's head of monitoring and advocacy, noted in particular the discovery of a Saudi state security watch list called Watch Upon Return, which she monitors the accounts of Saudis abroad in order to target them upon their return home. Deborah Brown, HRW's Deputy Director for Technology and Human Rights, who spoke at the Riyadh panel, said Hathlul's intervention was quite historic and remarkable. After the session, I thought, wow, Lena spoke to a room in Riyadh, Brown told Millie's Die. I think it was important to do. We couldn't just come here and talk about the normal IGF topics and leave crucial voices like Lena's out of the discussion. But on Thursday, video and transcript of the event that had been uploaded online with links shared widely, included by Hathlul, disappeared. Several hours later, a new video of the event was uploaded. HRW and Hatlul have now asked the UN and the IGF for an explanation. Middle East Eye asked the UN IGF's media contacts if anyone had requested that the video and transcript be removed and on what basis they were deleted. A spokesperson on Friday responded there may be several reasons why videos or transcripts are not on the website or reposted. The Secretariat will, in this course of the next week or so, holidays notwithstanding, be tabulating and correcting transcription errors, correcting titling, and trimming videos to remove dead space, etc., to make them more organized and easily searchable. This is the second significant UN gathering that Saudi Arabia has hosted in recent weeks, including the UN Convention to combat desertification meeting held in the kingdom earlier in December. Desertification? Is that what it is? Desertification? More than 70 digital and human rights organizations, including ALX, wrote to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres last October, asking him to reverse the decision to allow Saudi Arabia to host the meeting. They voiced concerns that Saudi civil society representatives would not be able to participate freely and safely, given the kingdom's human rights record. Hatlul said the deleted video and transcript on Thursday confirmed their fears. Our warnings and condemnations were not baseless, she said. This was a stark reminder of the extent to which regimes like Saudi Arabia will go to leverage internet governance as a means of suppressing dissent and controlling narratives. She called on the UN to launch the transparent investigation into what happened, saying that the responsibility to protect online and offline participants rests with the event organizers and the host authorities. How can we discuss internet governance if freedom of expression and security are undermined at the very forums meant to uphold them? She said. I shudder to think about what might happen if I had been there in person. An HRW representative told Middle East Eye that the UN and the IGF have a responsibility to uphold rights and freedoms, including freedom of speech, assembly, and association. This is critically important, particularly at UN-supported events in states that do not have a good record on human rights, they said. We went to great lengths to bring voices of Saudi civil society who were unable to join due to their legitimate safety and security concerns to the conference remotely. It's deeply disappointing to see that their testimony has apparently been removed so quickly after the event. HRW and ALPS were not the only rights groups who reported difficulties at the event. Dana Ahmed, Amnesty International's Middle East researcher, said on the tweeters that flyers on the cases of Manahel al-Otaibi, a Saudi fitness instructor, and Neth Nahara, an Angolan singer and mother of two, both jailed over social media posts, were confiscated from the organization's exhibit booth. Adeboye Adegoke, a senior manager with the Paradigm Initiative, a Nigerian digital rights NGO, told MEE that a panel he participated in with the U.S.-based digital rights NGO Access Now was Zoom-bombed with streaming pornography several times, including after Jamal Khashoggi, the slain Saudi journalist, was mentioned. Streaming pornography. Wow. Since its inception, IGF meetings have been held all over the world, including in Egypt and Azerbaijan. Brown said she has now attended 9 such gatherings. For me, the point is that this isn't the first time we've had an IGF in a place with an incredibly problematic human rights record, she said. But it's the worst that I've seen it affect the dynamics at the IGF itself. Instead of learning from the past, the situation is only getting worse, right? That's part of it, taking down this testimony from people. That's part of the game of propaganda, is taking away information and filling that void with bullshit. Meanwhile, in Slovenia, a public broadcaster calls for a ban of Israel from Eurovision. In an unprecedented move, Slovenia's public broadcaster demanded that Israel be banned from the 2025 Eurovision Song Contest, citing the ongoing war on Gaza. According to Slovenian media reports, the management of the RTV public broadcaster decided last week to promptly request that the European Broadcaster Union, the EBU, ban Israel from participating in next year's competition in Switzerland. The Council also voted for 2 other resolutions, one that calls for Slovenia to back out if the Israeli occupation does participate, and another that calls for the suppression of the Israeli performance. Last year, Eurovision rejected demands to disqualify Israel from the competition, insisting that the Eurovision Song Contest remains a non-political event that unites audiences around the world through music. At the time, at least 20,000 Palestinians were brutally killed in Israel's ongoing genocidal war. It's worth noting that Eurovision has in the past excluded countries from participation for political reasons. In 2022, Russia faced exclusion from the competition due to widespread criticism from various countries following the war in Ukraine. Russia did not participate in the competition the following year. Initially, the EBU stated that they had no intentions of barring Russia from the event, but later reversed their stance. I wonder why. The group claimed to have conducted extensive consultations with its members and decided, based on a recommendation from the governing body of the Eurovision Song Contest. The decision reflects concern that in light of the unprecedented crisis in Ukraine, the inclusion of a Russian entry in this year's contest would bring the competition into disrepute, they said. But yeah, genocide's okie dokie. We're totally fine with that. No worries. Bring them in. Things are groovy gravy. So, there's no elections in Ukraine right now because, the war, as they call it. Press rights watchdog urges Zelensky to halt media intimidation. He's doing that too. Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky should ensure that journalists and media outlets operate freely in the country and without fear of reprisal, a press freedom NGO has demanded. In a letter to the Ukrainian leader on Thursday, the Committee to Protect Journalists, the CPJ, asked him to halt media intimidation. In its letter, the CPJ highlighted a series of incidents over the past year that illustrate government interference and suppression of media during the escalation of the conflict with Russia. According to the committee, this year has been marked by several incidents of pressure, intimidation, and surveillance, as well as lack of accountability. One cited case is related to one local news outlet, Ukrainska Pravda, which has reported ongoing and systematic pressure from Zelensky's office. Allegations published in early October on the outlet's site include directives to government officials to withdraw communication with the outlet and pressure on businesses to withdraw advertising. Kiev has denied these claims. The CPJ also highlighted a case involving Ukrainian journalist Yuri Nikolov, who was intimidated in January by individuals dressed in military fatigues who entered his home. Investigations into alleged surveillance reported in January involving the investigative outlet Byhus.info have so far had no updates. The Ukrainian Security Service, SBU, has initiated investigations into both cases, but no conclusive results or official statements have been released yet. The NGO is also concerned about a bill being debated in the Verkhovna Rada that may increase criminal penalties for publishing information from public databases during martial law, which was extended until February 2025, amending the relevant legislation for the 13th time since the escalation of the conflict with Russia in February 2022. The CPJ is urging Zelensky to take immediate steps to protect press freedom and to ensure accountability for those who intimidate journalists. Zelensky announced in December last year that no polls would take place while martial law imposed during the recent fighting with Russia remains in force. Although his term officially expired in May, Zelensky has remained in power. In February 2022, Ukraine established a single national television channel referred to as the United News Platform. The broadcasts mainly feature politicians and officials loyal to Zelensky, while the opposition is barred from the air. Yes, they're not Nazis at all over there. Not at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Why you say those things? And finally, in our delicious propaganda watch, folks, I'm just going to read this. U.S. spent $9 million on anal prints and on giving puppies cocaine, according to this new Doge people thing. This is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramsey, I think. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, has unleashed a list of some unexpected programs and products that the U.S. government had been reportedly spending the budget money on, including anal prints, you heard me, and experiments injecting puppies with cocaine. In November, President-elect Donald Trump appointed Musk and billionaire Vivek Ramaswamy to lead Doge, a panel aimed at reducing federal government waste through audits and reforms. While specific targets remain unclear, you should be eagle-eyeing that fucking defense budget if you're going to be doing that shit. While specific targets remain unclear, Musk has pledged to save taxpayers trillions by curbing inefficient spending, or inefficient speaking in my case. On Friday, the Doge issued a post on social media platform Tweeters captioning it, "What does the U.S. government use taxpayer dollars for?" The following list shows that $6.97 million has been spent on studying smart toilets that recognize the user's anal print, smart toilets, while $2.3 million went into studies on injecting dogs with cocaine. Some $118,000 was reportedly dedicated to studying whether a metal replica robot of Marvel Comics Thanos could snap his fingers, and $75,000 was given in grants on a Harvard study on lizards being blown off trees with leaf blowers. One of Doge's links referenced a 2021 Real Clear Policy article on a Stanford study that received $6.97 million in funding. It described smart toilets equipped with AI and cameras. You want AI and cameras near your anus. That's what the A in anus stands for, is AI. To identify users' unique anal prints, analyze urine and stool for health monitoring, and send the data to a secure cloud. Like a fart cloud. No intimates today, Fred. Sorry. We're doing the Jewish cake thing. What's those things? You know what I'm talking about. It has the chocolate in it. Delicious. Other studies include the National Science Foundation's $75,000 project simulating hurricanes using leaf blowers to observe lizard survival tactics. Additionally, from 2020 to 2021, the National Institute of Health spent $2.3 million on experiments injecting beagle dogs with cocaine to study cardiovascular effects, which drew some public criticism. Oh, puppers! According to a Treasury Department website, the federal government spends money on a variety of goods, programs, and services to support the American public. During his campaign, Trump promised that if he won the November election, he would establish a government efficiency commission headed by Musk. The tech billionaire has repeatedly sounded the alarm over U.S. debt, warning that the country is spiraling towards bankruptcy and will quickly go bust if Washington doesn't curb its spending. At the time, Musk promised to save American taxpayers trillions of dollars if the Republican candidate won, claiming that taxpayer money is being wasted and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. I'm going to fix that. Yep. Toilet. I wish I had a toilet that could scan my anus and say, "Oh, no, you're cool. Come on in." You get the wrong ass on there, and they're like, "Wait, what? No. You gotta go, buddy. You gotta get out of here. You and your unapproved anus must leave." Finally today, a couple of nice little things for you. I thought you might enjoy these. Since the winter solstice has come upon us, the winter solstice's first rays of sun align with ancient Luxor temple. Let's look
The
at that.
winter solstice is a special day of the year at this ancient Egyptian temple complex at Luxor on the Nile River, and thousands of local and international tourists come to see it. On the shortest day in the Northern Hemisphere, the first rays of sunlight align perfectly with the main axis of the city's Temple of Amun-Re. Today, the sun's rays fall directly over the Holy of Holies in the Karnak temples, a unique and historic event that confirms the greatness of Egypt and the Egyptians for thousands of years.
We are here at Karnak Temple. It is the winter solstice, and we just enjoyed watching the sun rise over the beautiful pavilions here. We're drinking in the beautiful sunlight. We're enjoying this amazing sacred site.
As the sun bathes the temple, it enters the Holy of Holies, which houses a statue of Amun, the god of air and fertility. The astronomical phenomenon coincides with the beginning of the germination season in ancient Egypt, when farmers began to work the fields.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? You know, you get the winter solstice, you know, and then the shortest day of the year, which is opposed to the longest day of the year, which was every time I'd have a conversation with my ex-girlfriend, I didn't think that thing would ever end. You know the thing. But that's not the real news, folks. The real news is there's a googly eyeball epidemic going on, unfortunately. And, well, one U.S. city's had enough. U.S. city tells residents to stop sticking googly eyes on its statues. Okay, you got to stop doing that. Like, what? What are you looking at? What is this? A council in the U.S. has asked its residents to stop sticking googly eyes on the city's art. The comedy eyes have appeared on statues and murals around the city of Bend, Oregon, causing a viral sensation. While the googly eyes placed on the various art pieces around town may give you a chuckle, it costs money to remove them with care, not to damage the art, the city said in posts on social media. It would cost $0 to leave them on, replied one Facebook user, while another praised the artwork's additions. My daughter and I went past the flaming chicken today. Is that code? And shared the biggest laugh, she said, using a nickname for the Phoenix Rising sculpture. We love the googly eyes. This town is getting to be so stuffy. Let's have fun. Another Facebook user wrote, I think the googly eyes on the deer specifically are a great look, and they should stay that way. Aw. Others say that the city should focus on addressing more important issues such as homelessness instead of spending time and money on removing the googly eyes. Look at that. Why so serious? Bend sculptures frequently get adorned with seasonal decorations like Santa hats and wreaths, which the council does not remove. But, oh, you gotta go, the baby's got googly eyes too. The googly eyes, however, are being removed because of their adhesive, according to Bend's communications director, Renee Michelle. We really encourage our community to engage with the art and have fun. We just need to make sure we can protect it and that it doesn't get damaged, she said. So, googly eyes, right there for you. Isn't that great? I love some googly eyes. Those things have been around forever, too. You put googly eyes on something. Oh. Chef's kiss, man. Yeah, so I hope that topped your Festivus Day newscast just right. So Google googly eyes. That's right. Google. No, seriously, if you want to have some fun, put some googly eyeballs and stuff on stuff that you don't care about, because that adhesive will probably rip some shit up. So, yeah, I saw googly eyes. I said, well, I got to share this with the gang. All right. Well, we got stuff going on this evening. I don't think Willie's doing a show. He might be. I'm not sure. I don't know if Dee is doing one either. I think she is. But we're definitely doing a show tonight at 7 p.m. It is Festivus 2024 with a cast of ones in attendance for your Festivus needs. We'll be hanging out with the airing of grievances, the feats of strength, all that good stuff. So come join us this evening on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, and we'll be doing it on Facebook as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, like most people my age would tend to do. Hey, Teresa, what's up? I see you over there. You want googly eyes for your eyelids? I know, right? Scare the fuck out of people. I think that'd be great. Because people need a little excitement like that. So, let me see. I just want to check one thing here. Are we good to go there? I think we are. All right. Okay. So yeah, so that's coming up tonight. We may do some Christmas Eve goodness. Maybe chase Santa across the skyway. And then Wednesday morning, we'll be here, but just talking about top stories throughout 2024. Maybe some of those you may not remember because it was so early in the year, but I appreciate every one of you guys. I hope you have a great Festivus and great rest of your holiday season. I will see you again this afternoon or this evening, depending on your location. Take care, and like I said, if you're new and you're watching this, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And we got donation links down below if you want to. If you don't have any cash, that's fine. If you could share out the links, that helps us as well. We will see you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody. I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it. But I still love you. Peace. See you later.
This is City Alpha 5! Woo!
Soon.